All right, so this is where we last left off, right? We received a bill from Miss Kim Robinson. We recognized it as a business expense. And here's what was unique about this transaction. We ended up putting it on an accounts payable, right? We're not paying it now. We're choosing to take advantage of the extension of the time that Kim Robinson had given us. So in this case, we now owe Kim Robinson some money. However, we still recognize that the expense had occurred, right? So there you go. Now this is where the next transaction happened, right? We end up receiving from furniture store, and from furniture store, right? We received the counter and the display shelves. Okay. Now notice it says up here, we're going to split the shipping charges 75% on the counter and 25% to the shelves. Now let's take a look. What do you mean we have to split the shipping? Well, let's take a look at the form we were given. Okay. Now in this case, it says that we purchased a counter and we also purchased 5 display shelves. Okay, giving us a grand total of $1,543 even, and then we ended up had tax of $127.30. And then we had shipping of $100, giving us a grand total of $1,770.30. Now, in this case, right, what did we buy?
We bought shelving.
We bought shelves, and what else?
And counter.
And we bought a counter. Now, what category or what type what type of accounts did we just purchase?
Okay, so it's a fixed account.
It's a fixed asset, right? So in this case, if it's a fixed asset, then what do we need to include?
The taxes.
You need to include the taxes, and you need to include what else?
Depreciation.
Not depreciation. What was that?
And the freight.
You need to also include the shipping costs, right? Because this is a fixed asset. You need to figure out what the total cost of the fixed asset is, which we already know you have to get it ready for service. Now, in this case, a counter should be fully assembled and a shelf. Like it doesn't take that much labor to assemble a shelf, right? So in this case, they are ready to go. Now, let's take a look at my chart of accounts. Do I have an account for my counter and my display shelves?
Yeah.
Yes, we do, right? Counters 13,020, and then we have display shelves at 13,040. Now, in this case, let's take a look. I received a bill? Okay. Am I expected to pay it now?
If it's due 7.
Net 15.
I have 15 days to pay this. Now, in this case, as a business, I should also not pay this and take advantage of the time that they let me, have the time to pay the bill, right? So in this case, I'm also going to choose to pay it later. So what account is that?
Repeat the question for me.
So I just received a bill, right?
Right.
And I choose to not pay it now. I choose to pay it later because it's $1,770. That's a lot of money. If I'm choosing to pay it later, what account am I using?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable. Excellent. So in this case, let's go ahead and so we know what that account is, right? We already used it before. So let's go ahead and plug in my journal. Okay? So in this case, I acquired a fixed asset. So did I increase or decrease?
You increase.
You increase. So therefore, you're going to debit my counter and we're going to debit the display shelves. Okay? And lastly, we're also going to increase our liabilities. So we will have a credit. Okay? Okay? Those are all the account numbers, 20,000. Now in this case, we need to figure out how much each of those items are going to be. Right? We know for a fact that okay, so let's break it down. So how much is my how much did I buy how much was um my counter? No, not the cat tax yet. I want to know what my item was before tax. How much did I pay for the counter?
$1,033.
Okay? How much was my display shelves?
102.
102 per shelf. How many shelves did I buy?
5.
5. So in this case, $510, right? Giving you your grand total of $1,543. Now, what else? I need to divide the tax. How do I divide the tax?
You would go with each one of the cost times 8.25%.
Excellent.
And on the for that is I got $85.22.
Okay, and the display shelves?
$42.08.
So in this case, $127.30. Is that correct? That is correct. Now, last thing here is how is shipping usually handled? How do you measure shipping?
At the shipping point or at the destination.
Okay, I'm talking about how is shipping cost determined? How does a company decide to say this is how much shipping is?
As a percentage of the cost of goods sold.
Not a percentage of the cost of goods sold. Okay, think about it. You have a package, right? You go to FedEx, or FedEx or UPS. How do they tell you how much that package costs?
They would weigh it.
It's based on weight and what else?
Size.
Size of the box that needs to be shipped out. So in this case, a counter. Imagine a counter. This isn't a small counter. This is probably a really long, wide counter. Now compare that to display shelves. Right? In this case, the counter is going to weigh 100% a lot more than a simple display shelf, right? So in this case, because I'm telling you as the accountant, go ahead and split the cost 75% to the counter and 25% of towards the display shelves, right? Why is that? Now, you can choose to do the either or, right? If you want it to get to the exact decimal or the exact cents, weigh the items. Weigh the items and then determine it that way, okay? Now, in this case, right, just by looking at the counter, we already can figure out that it's that like I said, that the freight should be significantly heavier on the counter side than it is for the display shelves, right?
Yes.
So in this case, as the bookkeeper or as the accountant to the bookkeeper, which is you guys, right? I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you to split the cost based on the weight and based on what I believe should be correct. So in this case, I'm saying, yeah, that counter is definitely a lot heavier than the display shelves. So split the shipping 75% to the counter and 25% to the display shelves. Now in this case, that's just a guesstimation, right? Like I mentioned, right? If you want pinpoint exactly how much per weight, right? Go ahead and measure that. Now, of course, you can either look at the manufacturing label or you can look at, you could, I don't know, you can measure it through a scale, whatever you have available, right? Now, in this case, or you can use the price point if you don't have that availability to access the weight of the item, then you can use price to determine how much to distribute the item towards. So again, in this case, 1,033 compared to $510, right? That's roughly almost 50%. You can also do it that way as well, but the most accurate way that you want to do this is based on weight. And just taking a look at a counter and comparing it to display shelves, the counter is already going to be a lot heavier than display shelves. So that's why I decide, you know what? Let's not measure them exactly how they're heavy weight by. Let's just do a guesstimation and designate 75% of the shipping cost to the counter and 25% to the display shelf. So in this case, how much is going to go towards the counter? I want 75% of the shipping cost to go to the counter. How much did they charge me for shipping?
$100.
What's 75% of $100?
$75.
$75. That means $25 is going to go towards the display shelf. So in this case, let's tally up our totals. Okay? So we can figure out how much each of the items are. So this is for my counter. Okay? This is my display shelves. And then this is the grand total. So in this case, there you go. $17.70. In this case, everything panned out evenly. Okay? All right. So now we can go ahead and journalize my fixed asset. Okay? So that means my counter was $1,193.20. That should be 22 cents, sorry. 22 cents. And then my display shelves is $577.08, giving me that grand total of that 1,000. Ooh, I'm off. Oh, my bad. I typed it in wrong. $1193.22. There you go. There you go, $17.70 and 30 cents, which is exactly what is written on your bill. Okay? All right. So, all right, we can go ahead and plug our numbers into my ledger. Okay, let me go ahead and finish my description here. Who did I receive the bill from?
Furniture store?
Okay. What's my proof of a transaction?
An invoice?
Okay. You don't need to say that you bought a counter and display shelves, right? Because it's obvious you already journalized it in the respective accounts. So other things that you want to put in here is going to be a due date. When is it going to be due? So in this case, they gave us net 30, net 15. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and plug it into my ledger. Okay. So I acquired a counter. Okay, here's my counter. It's the 7, right? You can choose to enter in all the details, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and refer to my journal, right? Because I mapped out all of my amounts here. So in this case, my counter was $1,033 plus 8.25% tax, which was a total of $85.22 plus $75 of shipping. Okay, is what got you the grand total of that 1193.22. Now in this case, what journal am I on?
2.
If you don't remember, right, here you go. There's the reference right there. We are page 2 of our journal. And we're going to debit my account for $11.93.22. Okay? $11.93.22. Okay? So I need to go ahead and plug in my next number here, which is going to be my display shelf. So it's a couple down on your pages. So here I am, display shelves. It's the 7. Now this is what you can say here is that you bought 5 display shelves. Right, at $102 each. Okay, which gave you a total of $510. Okay, plus 8.25% tax. Which was a total of $42.08. Okay, plus $25 for shipping. Okay, is what gave you the total of $577.08. Okay. So now that I got my counter and my display shelves in there, last thing that we have here is my accounts receivable, right? Because I chose to pay later, okay? Which is a liability. So this is my second liability I am recording here. On the 7, once again, an invoice number should be enough. If you want to fill in extra information, that is up to you. So invoice number 69. We are still on page 2. And now we increased our liabilities, right, on the credit side by $1,770.30. Okay? So what do I do with this information here? I need to increase my account on the credit side now. Okay? So this one's straightforward, right? Since I am increasing with a credit, if I started out with $1,000, right? And I'm going to increase my accounts payable by $1,770.30, then this one's pretty straightforward, right? I'm adding to my existing pile by going like this, right? I'm going to be adding it, so I'm at $2,770. Now, the correct way to be able to enter this formula into Excel is you're going to go up 1, right? But on the credit side, okay? Because this formula is different to compared to your debit side. Because this is opposite, right? We're not adding our debits. We are adding our credits. And we're going to subtract our debits because debits decrease my liabilities. So in this case, the formula is slightly different, okay? So now that I'm on the credit side column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the previous balance of that 1,000. I'm going to add any credits that is on my row right here. So in this case, my credit is 2 to the left, okay? And then I'm going to subtract any debit, which is going to be 3 to the left. Okay, so up 1 plus left 2 minus left 3. Okay, and that's going to give you your running balance. So then every time you have a debit balance, it will decrease the accounts, the liabilities, right? And every time you have a credit balance, it will increase your liabilities. So in this case, I'm also going to do that little formula where I copy it down. So again, at the corner of your box right here, you should see a small green square. Put your mouse on top of it and then click, hold, and drag, and it will copy the formula. So then in case you do, let's say I paid a liability off $1,000, right? It will automatically calculate that formula for you, okay? All right. Okay, so once again, you're going to go up 1 plus left 2 minus left 3. So in this case, you're taking your previous balance, adding any credits, and subtracting any debits. Okay? All right. So now that I finished my ledger, I now owe furniture store money. So therefore, I need to also update my subsidiary ledger because my subsidiary ledger represents the amount of money that I have towards people, right? Customers who owe me money, and then I have a section for vendors that I owe money to, and then I have my employees who are also people that I have to pay as well. Okay? So in this case, this is a vendor, right? They provided me service, right? So we're going to locate furniture store. Okay, here it is, furniture store. Date, the 7, right? Notes, what did we buy? We bought a counter. And I'm going to say $11.93.22, right? Includes everything. plus we bought display shelves, 5 display shelves, totaling up a total of, what was the amount for again? 577.08. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and include tax and shipping. Okay. And then, yeah. Okay. Invoice number 69, post reference. Once again, this transaction is on General Journal page 2. Terms. Were we given terms?
Yes, 15.
Yep, net 15. So therefore, no discount available. However, there is a solid due date. So when is my actual due date? If I have 15 days after upon receiving my bill.
The 22nd.
The 22nd, right? Now, in this case, Excel does work for dates as well. So as you can see, notice this. I'm in the cell and I'm running a formula, right? I am taking the dates of June 5th, June 7, and I'm adding 15 days to it. And that should automatically calculate how many days. And yes, it does take into consideration that June has 30 days. So in this case, use Excel for the reasons being to get yourself more accurate information, right? So in this case, because I set up my date column to be dates, right? If I add 15 days to it, it will automatically calculate what 15 days after the 7th is, which is going to be the 22nd of June. Okay? So that means I need to be aware that I have a payment in a couple weeks from now. Okay? No prepayment because you didn't talk to furniture store ahead of time. What was my invoice amount? Right, $17.70 and 30 cents. Okay, and in this case, I never made a payment. So no returns or allowances, no discounts, and no payments. So therefore, if I run my formula, right, invoice amount minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments, it's still going to say that I still owe furniture store $1,770 for this particular bill. And that statement is true, right? Because I'm not going to pay them now. I'm going to choose to pay them later. Okay? I'm going to choose and take advantage of the days that they give me. So in this case, I am going to pay them later. All right? So in this case, it's telling me that I owe furniture store $1,770.30. Okay? How do I know? Because this bill right here for bill number 69 is what I owe to them. Okay? All right. Last thing that we need to also do is, well, we received our purchase, right? We received the items that we requested. So therefore, I need to verify that I have received the items, okay? So therefore, I need to update my purchase orders, right? To make sure that everything that I ordered had arrived. So in this case, going up to here, right, we have so far 3 things that we ordered, right? And in this case, I ordered my, I ordered a coffee, I ordered the counter and the display shelf, so order number 2 here, right? Now I need you to fill in the rest of the information, such as when was the delivery due date? When was the date that you received it? In this case, okay, I received it on June 7. Okay? And what was the proof that I received it? It was on the invoice number 69. Okay, that shows me that I have proof that I did receive my counter and my display shelves. Okay, and that concludes this transaction here. Okay, right? Okay, so let's see what happened next. Okay. Then it says June 7, Friday, purchase order number 304 to furniture store. So we end up buying more stuff from furniture store. We wanted to order 10 bistro tables and chairs, okay? In this case, each set, right, comes with 1 table and 2 chairs. So we bought 10 sets of this bistro tables and chairs. So in this case, the unit price of each table was $605.55. Since we bought a total of 10 of them, it was estimated to be $6,055.50. Okay? So let's go ahead and what do we do with this transaction? What do I do with this transaction, right? I made a purchase order to furniture store. What did I do here? Is there a transaction at hand? Did I actually buy something?
No,
Was there money exchanged?
no.
So in this case, this is not something that I need to journalize. However, where else do I need to put this information in? Because I am ordering items, right? I expect it to arrive to my store. So in this case, I'm going to fill it into my purchase orders because I am requesting to purchase some stuff. Okay? So go ahead. Here you go. Purchase order number 17304. Today is the 7th. Okay, who did I purchase this from? We said furniture store. Okay. What did I buy? In this case, table and chair set. Okay. How many of them? I wanted to buy 10. What's the unit price? $605.55. So there you go. I'm going to multiply them across to get 6,000. So 605.55. There you go, $6,055.50. Okay, and that's my grand total that I am pending for my transaction. Okay? All right. So then let's see what else happened next. So it says here, let me go ahead and just push this forward so I can see it better. Okay? It says here that my down payment, okay, my down payment check was written to Hallie Bros on the 6th of June was for the wrong amount, right? So again, I need to issue a revised purchase order number 17303R, all right? And I need to void the check number 1506 and reissue a new check for the correct amount. So in this case, right, whoever did the calculation didn't calculate it very correct, right? Instead, they were off by 30 something dollars. So in this case, right, it says here that the actual 1/3 of the down payment is actually $1,171.87. So in this case, we messed up. So now in this case, we need to do a lot of things, right? So I want you to fix this journal entry by using the reverse and the re-entry method, okay? Because I have to revise a bunch of stuff. I need to void the check and so on and so forth, right? Now, what happens when you void a check? What happens when you void a check?
You have to credit the funds.
You have to credit the funds back to your bank. That is correct. So in this case, I'm going to reverse my transaction. Now in this case, right, what did I originally journalize my down payment as? Where did I put that money? So in this case, I'm going to go look back in my journal to see what I did. Right, here you go. Top of page 2 here. I got for Hallie Bros, purchase order number 17303, 1/3 down payment, check number 1506. Right? So in this case, where did I put this money? What account did I put it into?
Your checking account?
That's where you're gonna be putting the money back to, but where did I put that down payment at? What account did I use to represent the down payment?
Prepaid accounts.
Prepaid account. So therefore, if I were to redo this undo this transaction, right? Since I'm voiding the check means that money's going to go back into my checking account. So therefore, what else is going to happen? My prepaid account is also going to be reversed as well. So in this case, that is exactly what I need to do. I need to reverse this transaction right here. Okay? So it is June 7. We're going to put back the money in my checking account and we're going to take that money out from my prepaid accounts. Okay? Okay? And for how much? How much am I going to put back? Right? $11.40 and 22 cents. Right? Because that's what my check was written out for, 1506. So therefore, if I void that check, this amount's going to go back into my checking account. Okay? So now I need to finish this journal off by saying I am going to void the check Okay, 1506, right? To undo down payment on to Hallie Bros on June 6th. Okay. Right? To purchase order number 170303. Okay? All right? So in this case, I need to void my check. So how do I void my check?
Reverse the entries.
We were doing that right now. Okay? So in this case, to indicate this, right, I'm going to put a note into my check register, right? Now, in real life, you're going to be needing to call the bank, right? And tell them to stop this check from being processed or to void it, right? But in this case, to keep it in my records, I need to make sure that I can firmly know that check number 1506 has been voided. Okay? By going into my check register and making a notification saying that this check has been voided. Okay? All right? So then, go back to my journal, right? I'm done with my journal. So then I need to now plug my numbers into my ledger. Okay? Because I am reversing the transaction. Okay? So therefore, I have to go back to my assets. And I'm going to go back to, let's see, checking goes first. And I'm going to make a note here, right? I'm not going to revise the transaction I already have. Okay, because that's not the purpose of this, right? I need to put into my journal or into my ledger exactly, right? We're going to leave all the stuff there that's currently in my ledger. I'm not going to revise it. I'm not going to edit the information. I'm just going to add to my ledger, okay? So in this case, I'm going to put right here that I voided check number 1506. Okay? And that's going to reverse the money back into my checking account for that $11.40 and 22 cents. And therefore, that should put the money back in there and make it become $11,361.29. Okay? Now, because I'm voiding my check, that means it affects the account that I put my down payment in, right? So that I have to also undo that prepaid accounts, okay? And I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm not going to modify it. I'm actually going to go ahead and put in that journal entry in there. Now, if you choose to actually void the information and actually just zero it out, that is absolutely okay to do. So if I wanted to, I just have to revise a few pieces of information, such as saying that this transaction has been voided. And then you can go ahead and be able to just zero it out. So if I wanted to zero this out, right, I would have to edit this information and say it's been voided, and then this transaction would become zero. And what happens if this transaction becomes zero? It basically puts the money back exactly how it should be. But in this case, I'm not going to have you guys do that. I'm just going to go ahead and have you guys do an extra line item. So instead of adding all your transactions in here, right? That shows me that on the 7th, right? That I voided check number 1506, which canceled canceled down payment on purchase order number 170303, right? This way, check out my line items, right? I have the original proof of the transaction that, yes, I did make a down payment on the 6th. However, I end up realizing I made a mistake and had to revise it on the 7th. So this gives you an actual transaction list of everything that had happened. Instead of revising the edit or editing the information from that transaction on the 6th, that avoids you getting confused, right? Because if I were to modify this and said I voided this transaction on the 6th, then it's telling me that when did I find out that the transaction was recorded and was fixed? It doesn't. It just tells me that I voided the transaction on the 6th. So in this case, this is just an easier way to go ahead and keep a good better track record of your transactions by creating a line item. And because I am modifying a transaction, right, I'm not actually modifying them, right? I'm actually just doing what I put into my journal, which is reverse the transaction. And now this is exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm reversing the transaction by including it as a second line item, as a separate transaction here. Okay, so that means that's going to deduct the 11.40 and 22 cents. Okay, so that should drop your account balance back to 6654.17, right? Back from where you began. Okay. Now, with that being said, I also need to make a note in my subsidiary ledger, because in this case, right, I have to also make sure that the vendor knows that I avoided this check number 1506. Now, in this case, I can go ahead and put in void here, okay? Now, what does that do for me? Now, in this case, it doesn't really do anything for me if I put in void, because what happens? Well, if I put in void, at the end of the day, I don't even owe Hallie Bros anything. So by me putting in void right there, and instead of modifying this transaction, right, this is already done, right? I don't need to make any changes, because at the end of the day, this is my track record of what I recorded, right, on the 6th. I'm just recording that it's been voided now. Okay, so that means this transaction doesn't exist anymore. You don't need to zero anything, because at the end of the day, what happened? You still don't even owe Hallie Rose anything anyways. So in this case, I can go ahead and leave everything the way it is. Okay, I'm just only putting in that void just to ensure that I am voiding this transaction. Okay. So now that I've voided my transaction, now it tells me that I need to reissue a new check for the correct amount for that 1171 and 87 cents. Okay? But it also tells me that I need to revise my purchase order. Okay? So therefore, I'm going to go to my purchase orders first. Things need to go in a step-by-step process, right? I need to revise my purchase order first to get me my new number. Then I can go ahead and cut myself a new check, right? So in this case, Hallie Bros, right? In this case, you don't actually have the purchase order available, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick in a letter R here to let me know it's been revised. Now, once again, can you order a down payment? No. That's not a service that Hallie Bro can provide. You can't order a down payment. So therefore, that is exactly why I never included it in the first place. So therefore, you do not need to include it in here. Because where does the down payment go? It applies to the invoice when you receive it, right, to the bill. In this case, I can't order a down payment. So therefore, that's why it's not under my purchase order. If I could, then yes, I would put it in there. But in this case, no. I do not include it in my purchase order because I can't order a down payment. Okay? All right? But you should make a note on here if you want to create another column that that the down payment has now shifted or changed. Okay? Right. So you can put notes on the side saying the down payment is now $11.71 and 87 cents. Okay. So there you go. I revised my purchase order so I can go ahead and journalize my transaction once again, because now that I reversed the transaction, I now need to issue a new check. Okay. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and save some time here by copying this transaction from above here, right? The actual original purchase here. And I'm going to go ahead and include that right here, right? I'm going to copy and paste it here. So in this case, right, Hallie Bros purchase order, right, is now 303R, okay? 1/3 down payment, which we cut a new check. So therefore, it's no longer 1506. What check number did I use? Well, how do we cut a new check?
You just do it.
Yeah, you just go to the check register and cut the check. So in this case, today's now the 7th, okay? And then I cut it for a total of $1171.87. Okay, so $1171.87. Make sure it's 87, not 78. So $1171.87. Who is it to? It is to Hallie Bros. Okay. And what is it for? Same reason. Down payment for coffee brewer and coffee grinder. Okay. So I have my check number 1507. So there you go. I can go ahead and modify this because it's no longer 1506, it's 1507. Okay. All right, so I revised the purchase order. I cut a new check. So then now I need to re-put all my values into my ledger correctly to fix the error in my journal. Now again, it was for 1171.87. Okay, so now I need to go to plug in my numbers into my ledger. Now, would it be beneficial to just cut the second check for the difference amount? You can if you want to, but in this case, again, this is just another example of me showing what you learned in class here, doing an error in the journals, right? Doing the practice of reverse and reentry. Okay, so in this case, I reversed the transaction because I avoided the check, and then I reissued it because, again, that's what I want to do. I want to fix it. So there you go. That's the example there. Okay. So here I am on my prepaid accounts already. So this time I'm going to fill in another box here. And it's going to say the same thing. This is a 1/3 down payment. Okay. Down payment on brewer and coffee grinder for purchase order number 303 revised. Okay, so make sure you make that change right there. Still on journal page 2. This time it's for $1171.87, which should increase your accounts, prepaid accounts, to $7,826.04. Okay? Okay? And of course, right, I have to go back all the way up to my checking to update that amount because I cut a brand new check. So therefore, I need to make sure how much money should I have in my checking account, right? So in this case, check number 1507, general journal page 2, and this time I cut the check for $1171.87. Okay? And that should drop your checking account to $10,189.42. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Now, since we made a revision into the purchase order and we cut a brand new check to Hallie Bros, we need to update their profile now because now I I had a separate transaction with them, right? So in this case, I am not going to revise anything for this transaction. I'm going to go ahead and make a new line. And it's going to say the same thing except a few things are different, right? 1/3 down payment. Okay. $15.07 this time. Okay. And I revised my purchase order, right? Purchase order number 17303R. It's been revised. Okay. Now again, this is proof of a transaction that the first one that you did here is a mistake. But this is also to let you know if, in fact, Hallie Bros decides to also submit their check 1506 when I reissue them a new one, I will know that because it will flag in my bank account that someone is attempting to put in a check that's been voided. So in this case, if I just got rid of this entire amount in this entire thing from Hallie Bros, right? Would I know that my check for 1506 that I wrote to Hallie Bros is currently trying to being deposited into the bank? No, because I got rid of that proof of a transaction that it existed in the first place. So in this case, this is another way, again, to be very, very careful of your transactions. In this case, I can monitor whether Hallie Bros decides to try to deposit the check even though it's been voided, right? At least I know that check number 1506 has been voided. So therefore, I can confirm whether Hallie Bros puts in the correct check into their bank account and if it's correct or not. Because once again, I've already called the bank to let them know that that check has been canceled. So in this case, another way that you can double check your work and making sure that your vendor isn't stealing money from you either. Okay? So again, there you go. Okay? So in this case, I'm creating a separate transaction so I can identify how much this check is written out for. Okay? So once again, same thing here, right? My purchase order is going to tell me that I owe $1171.87. And my check number 1507 is also going to tell me that I made a payment for $1171.87. So if I run my formula, right? It should tell me that I owe Hallie Bros nothing, which is true, right? I don't owe them anything. They owe me. They owe me a coffee brewer and a coffee grinder. But in this case, I'm not looking on their books. I'm looking on my books. Do I owe Hallie Bros anything? No, I do not. Okay? And this is proof that the check number 1507 is for the 1171 and 87 cents, opposed to the previous one, which is check number 1506, which was for 1140 and 22 cents. So again, making sure that you have a fine difference so that when you look at the invoice or the bill that they send you, right, that it's for the correct amount and it's for the correct check. Okay? Questions? No? Okay, we good? All right. So there we go. We did the reverse and the re-entry to fix this transaction here in my books. Okay? Okay? So let's see what happened next. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and push this invoice down because we end up receiving another bill from Furniture Store for the desk set that we ordered. Okay, here's your invoice. Okay, invoice number 71. Here's the desk set. Here's all the taxes and shipping, right? Tax was $46.37. The delivery charges was $50. So in this case, total amount for the desk was $658.37. Okay? So what do I do with this transaction? What do I do with this transaction? What happened here?
Okay, will it be an accounts payable?
It will be another accounts payable, but what else? What was the transaction at hand?
It's a purchase order.
We received our purchase order, right? What did we buy?
562 a desk set.
We bought a desk set, right? So let's take a look at my chart of accounts. Do I actually have a desk set?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. We made another purchase of a fixed asset. Now, once again, a desk set, right? Most likely, since I bought it from Furniture Store, right? It's probably pre-assembled. So in this case, it's already ready for service. I just have to put it into the desk office or whatever it is that you're using to put this desk in, right? So in
Right.
this case, right, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to journalize that I bought a desk set and I place it on an account. So desk set is 13030. And since I am putting it on an account, I'm not going to pay them now, right? Because I have 15 days once again. I'm going to choose to pay them later, right? Take advantage of that time being because in this case, I still haven't even purchased inventory. I still haven't even purchased anything yet. So therefore, I'm only on the first week of Coffee Cafe. I'm only trying to set up my my store, right? I'm in the process of it. So I need that extra money in case I have to pay for something else. So in this case, accounts payable for $20,000. Okay. So general journal, what are we gonna do? We bought a desk set. Okay, 13,030. And I decided to put it on an accounts payable. Okay, for how much? How much do I owe and how much is the actual desk set? How much is my desk set and how much do I owe furniture store?
$658.37.
$658.37. So 658.37. Okay. And you have all the information you need to fill in your description, right? Who did we receive this bill from?
Furniture store.
Furniture store. What was the proof of transaction? Right, in invoice number 71. Right, that's the proof of transaction. And how many days do I have to pay this? 15. Okay. All right. So now that I finished my journal, right, I didn't have to cut a check. I didn't have to do anything, right? So now let's go ahead and plug it into my ledger. Okay. If you want to, you can go ahead and check this off in your purchase order first, so then we don't have to come back to this worksheet, right? So I'll go ahead and do that first. So in this case, here's my very first purchase order, right? My desk set. It has arrived. So in this case, I do need to check mark that. Okay. That I received it on June 7. And how do I know? Because it came with the invoice number 71. Okay. So I can go ahead and no need to go back to that. So now I need to go to my ledger because now I spent more money, right? In fact, I owe more money. And I acquired a fixed asset for this. Okay, so I do need to, I'm going to go to my I'm going to go to my fixed asset here. Okay. Here you go, desk set. All right, so let's take a look at my invoice real quick. So my invoice said I purchased it for $562, right? Tax was $46.37, and the shipping was $50. Okay, $562, $46.37, and $50 worth of shipping. So here you go, desk set. It is the 7. We purchased it for $562. Okay. plus $46 and $46.37 for tax. (8.25% tax). Okay, which gave you $46.37 plus $50 shipping. Okay, is what gave you the result of the $658.37. Okay. And because now you didn't pay for it right then and there, you now owe more money, right? You decided to put it on an accounts payable. Okay. So there you go, accounts payable account. It's the 7th. Invoice number 71. Still on our very page 2 here, we're at the bottom. And now I increased my accounts payable by $658.37. Okay? So therefore, you now owe $3,428.67. So $3,428.67. Okay? Okay? All right. So now that I, recorded my journal, I posted to my ledger, well, I owe furniture store more money. So I need to update my subsidiary ledger because now I need to plug in that I owe more money. So here's furniture store. Okay. What did you purchase? Well, we purchased a desk set, okay, for $562, right? Or in this case, you could say for, was it $658.37. Okay. This was invoice number 71, general journal, page 2, right? And once again, we got the same exact terms, net 15, right? So in this case, I'm going to put in my formula once again. 15 days from receiving my bill, it's going to be due on the 22nd of June, right? It's the same exact one as the first one, right? But this time, I owe $658.37, okay? So then that's going to equal what? In this case, if you have your formula intact here, it should equal for this bill to be $658.37. Now, why is my invoices separate here? So this way you're able to identify which bills that you owe for each vendor, right? You don't want to combine them just yet because in this case, right, are you going to pay all the bills at once or can you choose to pay one bill at a time? In this case, that's exactly what you can do, right? You could choose to pay one bill at one time. You don't need to pay the whole amount at one given time. So in this case, this is giving me a separation for each bill that I've received. So in this case, I owe $1,770 for my invoice for the 69, and then for invoice number 71, I only owe $658.37. However, down at the bottom in gray says total, right? If your formula is not intact here, this is just an equal sum. This is going to give me my grand total that I owe furniture store, okay? So in this case, at the very bottom in this gray bar here, gives me a grand total of how much I owe them. I owe them $2,428.67. So can I choose to pay the entire account balance off? Yes, I can. But I can also choose to make payments to one bill at a time. Okay, I'm not obligated to pay the entire amount. So I need to make sure that I'm able to identify which bill came first and which bills are dated and which ones how much each bill I owe. So that's why I'm keeping everything separate, right? So then I can keep track of myself instead of saying, oh, what's my grand total that I owe? No, because you might not be able to afford to make the whole entire payment for all the things that you owe for that particular vendor, right? You can pick and choose your bills to pay. Okay, so in this case, that's why I keep them separate so then I can identify what each one entails. And at the very end, at the bottom of the table, I go ahead and rack up how much I actually owe furniture store in grand total. Okay, so I owe $2,428.67 to furniture store. Okay, all right. All right, we already did the purchase order. Okay, so that is it for this transaction. Okay, so let me see how many more I need to do. Okay, oh, I reached the end of my, reach the end here, right? I received my desk set, so then the next thing says here is we're gonna start our water and our Las Vegas city services, right? Through NV Utilities. Is this a transaction that I need to journalize? Right? I just started the water and the Nevada city services. So that means trash, right? The street cleaning, whatever that the city does the services for, right? That, is operating in the city. So again, trash is one of them, water, sewers, street cleaning. So those are the services there. Now, is there a transaction at hand here? Did I receive a bill for NV Utilities for starting this stuff up? No, right? Because in this case, all that happened was I started the city services and the water through NV Utilities. So that's all it's telling me. Because it's a utilities, right? What happens to water? We have to measure how much water we used, right? So in this case, I haven't received a bill yet. They don't require me to put a down payment or a deposit. They just turned on the water, right? Because they've already received enough from us. They already received the deposit for the gas, and they've already received the deposit for the electricity. So in this case, they just went ahead and turned on the water, and we're gonna start my city services now. So in this case, no transaction at hand is happening because they didn't require me of anything. They just let me know that it's been turned on, right? That I can be using the water as of June 7th, okay? And then we have the last thing, which is going to be completing our trial balance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop here because we're going to go ahead and take our break now. And then when we come back, we'll go ahead and complete the trial balance, okay?